Oh, we are live on the air.
Hello everybody, come on YouTube, catch up. I guess it's always a couple of seconds behind, isn't it? Hello everybody, lovely to see you. Do we know who's watching, Jess? Do we know, have we got that?
No, we've just lost one. We had 5, now we've
Good start, yeah. They just saw our faces and were like, nope, don't want to see that.
Yeah. We've got a down in number.
Let me send a link to a couple of my WhatsApp groups as well.
Back to 5 now.
Nice.
Yeah, mine's a little bit behind, that's why I think.
Alright, so episode 2. Debuting tonight at 7 p.m.
We're still here, we're still going strong. We're learning lots, aren't we? Episode 2 is based around, so each episode is geared around a key event. So the pilot was geared around lockdown, the first episode was geared around the first Black Eras, and the second episode is geared around the Queen's speech and Boris Johnson's admission to hospital. So they're not the most important things about the episodes. Clearly, we just want those events as key kind of milestones in this part of the journey, really. This episode was a little bit different because although most of it was scripted, some of it was improvised.
So we have some very exciting cameos from one from Nick and one from a friend of his who's done some very exciting and interesting improvisation, which I'm sure will have everybody in stitches. And also this one was quite interesting because it geared around one character more than the others have. So obviously part of this has been a balance between different households experiencing lockdown differently, whilst also developing character and seeing how individuals are coping. So this week was a really interesting journey for Louisa's character, Nikki, who goes on some dates and tries to foray into the world of dating. So yeah, I hope you enjoy that.
Yeah. So, Nick, how did you find your little cameo on screen? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was great. You know, I always had a hankering to be on the stage, and well, quickly discovered that wasn't the life choice for me. But it's been great to pick it up again and just do. And it was kind of nice because the scene ended up being kind of like semi-improvised. There was kind of a loose structure that Rachel laid out, and we kind of basically we just ended up kind of going a bit off the rails and having some fun with it. And and I do, watching it back, I laughed a lot. So hopefully it's funny. And there's I do. If any of my family are watching, I should apologise for some of the language used as well.
It's definitely fun. It's definitely taken the language to a fun new level. This episode, I would say, which has been great. We've got Santiago, who's given us a wave on YouTube. Hello, Santiago. Great to have you watching along. You're the best. So this episode was a lot of fun to make. There's been a bit of juggling of some scenes and back and forth, but we managed to get it here on time today at least, which is great. There you go, Nick. Yeah, that's better. So we are introducing today our money-raising initiative, which we hope you'll be excited to support. If you look into the description below all of these lives, then whatever platform you're on, you should find a link to a paypal.me for Lockdown Series, to which you can throw a donation, and any money that comes in, we want to split evenly between 50% towards the NHS to support the amazing work they're doing, and 50% to be paid to the actors. Because obviously the arts is an industry that is being affected quite a lot in this current circumstances. Actors, comedians, musicians are all suddenly, and whatever other creative workers and performers are having their jobs disappear overnight when social distancing and eventually lockdown happened. And so you've probably been somewhat bombarded by tip jars and GoFundMe and pages similar to that by different people doing live streams and publishing online content. So we just thought, why not add to that maelstrom of requests for charity and throw another one your way. But we really feel that it's a great opportunity for you to support not only the NHS but also the arts, which we think is a really important consideration. Obviously, the NHS are doing incredible work on the front line, but it's important to remember that lots of people are being affected in lots of different ways, and this is something that we've chosen to try and support.
I was going to say, if we of all people weren't interested in supporting the arts, then I think something would be a bit wrong.
It would be a bit ironic. So any questions you may have, jump in on in the chat on YouTube and on Facebook or Twitter. We're here to hear from you guys. We're keen to hear from you. So any questions you might have, please jump in. But for now, Nick, I'm going to go back to you because you had some interesting decisions this week, I think, in terms of the editing, didn't you? Cutting between different things and ordering them. So what was your thought process like during that?
Yeah, there was a lot to balance this week because I feel like every week as we're learning, we're building on what we've done the previous week, and this episode really feels like we've raised the bar again. And so I think there's more laughs in this episode. There's some absolutely hilarious scenes, and also, sorry, Jess, I'm just going to mute you briefly because we're getting some crackle from you. But give me a wave if you want to say something. I'm sure you've got earth-shattering revelations to share with us.
Use the hand-raising feature.
But I also feel like we've got some of our sort of darkest and most harrowing scenes alongside them, and so when you're pacing an episode, you've got to make sure that it's flitting between the lighter shades and the darker shades in a way that's kind of like seamless and believable, but not crass and crude. So you're not kind of laughing at something that's actually really sad, but also but a lot of the laughs do come from the sadness. So there's a lot to balance out there, and we kind of bounced quite a few. I think there are about 5 different draft edits at some point going around. But we kind of got there in the end, agreeing how we wanted things to flow. And I couldn't be happy with episode 2. I think it's really a really strong piece of. I never know what to call this show. I want to call it drama, but then there's comedy, and it's what is it, Rachel? You'll be the one to answer to this. What would you call this show?
I don't know. It's not just comedy. I think it's
art. It's a very strong piece of art, everybody. And we're working in that field, and we should consider ourselves artists, of course. Television? Can we call it television? Internetivision?
Because television is the one platform it's not going out on, so I feel that would be a little bit.
Ironically. Yeah. Somebody else has joined us on YouTube. Don't know who it is, but hello to you, person in the world. That's great. Rach, last week when we were on, you and Matt, especially, I remember, talked about the idea of this being there being a lot of dialogue between writers and actors, and there's a kind of shared responsibility for developing their characters and roles. So how do you feel that's been this week, lately? Have you had a similar feel to the...
I'm just really enjoying the process. I think it's just so interesting to see immediate response and see the way that actors take the script and roll with it and enjoy it, and it's lovely to watch their relationships develop. There's a really nice scene between Simone and Alex in this episode, which is very heartwarming, and I think that it's interesting to learn as well how relationships can develop in lockdown, because they are developing, and we're all in our, some of us are obviously on our own, but if you're in lockdown with others, then your relationships are still changing and developing despite the spaces that you're in. So it's quite interesting watching that and seeing that happen with the characters too. And some of them are taking like journeys that I didn't expect them to be on either, which is quite interesting. Always cool when your characters kind of go, no, I'm not going that way, I'm going this way. So yeah, and I think it's a really enjoyable thing to be doing whilst we're in this period of time as well, because it's productive and creative and giving us all an opportunity to try and learn new skills, which is very valued.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely learning a lot in this process, like how to create PayPal.me links. That was a lot of fun. We've had a couple more people join on YouTube. Again, don't know who, but we've got a few more viewers there. So hello, everybody. Great to have you with us coming along to check it out. Jess, what about you? What's been new or different or some learning that you've done this week?
I'll just unmute you.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
good. You're good.
Yeah, that's better. I've actually just got a question from Andrew, wanting to know who's the biggest diva out of Zach, Jan, and Joe.
Oh, good question.
I mean, I don't know them in person. Obviously, through the characters, I'm going to say it's a safe Caleb. Rachel, what do you think?
Do you mean based on their characters or?
I think that's actors.
Their real names.
Oh right, 100% Jan. Yeah, whole way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I was going to say, I think, is it Zach who shaved his head? And it was Joe. So I think that head shave was a big deeper move.
Yeah, he totally messed up continuity from pilot to episode 1 for me there.
Yeah. Showed up on set with suddenly 100% less hair than he had the previous episode.
He also keeps calling it a trimmed lid, which I find really distressing.
Rachel, I have a question for you, Rachel. To what extent are those characters that you've written, this is the mother and the two sons, for those who aren't as familiar with the show as we are, to what extent are they based on the actors playing them? Because you know them quite well.
I'd say they're pretty close, yeah.
I had a feeling that might
I mean, having said that, as are Rosie and Alex, actually, to be Ollie. But that is another interesting thing, actually. So I have tried to write around characters. So because obviously in this weird situation, I had the cast before I had the script. I've tried quite consciously to kind of weave stuff in which is true of their situation or is true of their relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that I write in or kind of Ellen and I talk about is things that have happened or that are happening to people. So, relationship breakdowns or new relationships or, trying to find ways to navigate the weirdness of love in lockdown, that sort of stuff.
I suppose there's one way it can work, but the other way it can't, in the sense that if there's 4 people in a house, you could just write for 2 of them. But if there's one person, you absolutely cannot write for more, unless they're going to do some complicated cardboard cutout system.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, you and your character and
Lou's
character are alone.
Yeah.
So, and Matt's character he's living with someone, but she's not particularly keen to act because she's not an actress, which is completely reasonable. So actually, like, it's how do you create drama and progress for those characters when they're on their own and they're having to self-film. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I think as a writer, what I'm realizing is like, this is, I'd say, we're writing episode 4 now, and it's just now that I'm sort of starting to feel like, oh, okay, I really feel like I know these characters now, and I'm getting more and more of a sense of what this lockdown process is going to be like for them. And I think that's very different to previous processes I've been through, where you already have that mapped out and you know it. So yeah, it's interesting seeing like you're writing animated in such an immediate way.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off there, Rachel. We just had Stuart Clark chiming in saying hi. So hi, Stuart.
Hi, Stuart.
Hello,
Any
Stuart.
relation to Rosie Clark? Oh, sorry, Jess. We can't hear you. Let me unmute you there. Go on, Jess.
Yes, that's all I was going to say.
That is it.
I believe it's Rosie's dad. So hi, Stuart.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
lovely.
Oh,
It's
We're on 7 o'clock, aren't we?
yeah,
so
1 o'clock.
the episode is now
7
live.
Maya D'Angelico, hola. Hello, Maya.
oh, that's Maya. That's my
Ah.
treaty.
Hey.
Hi, Maya. This one's a bit rude, so don't watch it with your mum. I'll be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Do and provoke an interesting conversation.
There's going to be some really awkward dinners, I feel, tonight if people are tuning in with their parents or grandparents.
It's still your fault, Luke.
Not as awkward as the time my mum got me to watch Y Tu Mama to the end with her, under the premise of it being a very cultural Spanish language film, and then it was basically just softcore porn.
Ugh.
Pretty awkward.
Oh.
Anyway, episode.
So,
Go on
shall
to our
we-
episode, which is definitely not porn. Thank goodness.
I think.
should we try and organise getting a link to the episode posted in the comments of all the feeds?
Yeah. If we
Okay.
put it up and we stay on, then we can share it
Okay.
from our
Okay.
other.
Well, let me.
So if you.
I'll try. I
And,
shall obtain said link, and we're giving the viewers a bit of behind the scenes here, but I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Trish
Yes.
Etheridge. Hi, Trish. Nice. Should we wave?
Oh, hey.
Waving. Let's wave at Trish. There we go. Great waving action there.
Maya reports that she's not going to watch it with her mum.
Well done, Maya.
Yeah.
Probably a smart move. Yeah, great to have you with us, Trish. I assume Ray's probably there as well. Thanks very much for coming along.
Right, I'm just pulling up a link, and then I actually, using my incredible technology, which sometimes works, and seems to be working okay tonight, because people are responding to things that we're saying. I think we might have actually been
Nice.
silent for the first minute of this broadcast, so apologies for that. But you can't have
So,
everything,
please-
can you?
Yeah. Please check out the link to pal.me.
Work in
Please
process.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
It's just very slowly loading up because actually this is monopolising most of my bandwidth, so this could take a while. Okay, I reckon.
maybe we should sign off and we'll share it via the regular on Facebook and Insta and everything in the regular way
Yeah.
through stories and posts. But please watch the episode. Please support the NHS and the arts through PayPal. Any £1 or £2 or £5 or £1 million that you could share would be really, really gratefully received by those groups.
Oh, Liz Silver's chiming in. She's saying she's so excited. We're
Hi,
excited,
Liz.
Liz. Episode 2. Woo!
Bye.
Right, bye guys. Thanks for coming.
All right. Enjoy the show.